Hi, welcome everybody to this tutorial, which will be talking about how to wire and edge chiffon and net for millinery purposes using woolly nylon and fishing line. Now, what you'll need for this tutorial is fishing line. Now, it comes in different weights, not different widths like other nylon line. So I've got various widths available, £20, £30, that's normally about roughly what I use. And it comes on different size reels. You're also going to need woolly thread, or it's often called 80s nylon, 80s bulky nylon or something like that. I'll check out and you'll see it in the subtitles. And it goes very fluffy and fills out when you're sewing with it. It is quite difficult to sew with, especially on the large cones, but I have a small cone of blue here. So we're going to be using this. It's normally used in overlockers or sergers on the looper. And you often see this when you're seeing overlocked or serged inside clothing. Now, because I'm going to use the fishing line that's on a wide reel, it's not curly enough for what I want. So I'm going to take off as much as I think I need for my project, and I'm going to wrap it around this plastic tube. Now, we are going to be using boiling water in this, so be careful, and also whatever you use has got to withstand heat. So the nylon fishing line will withstand it, and the polythene tube will withstand it, and I'm hoping the clips will as well. So wind it round your tube because we're going to meld this into shape. So once you've cut enough as you need, and I'm only doing samples here on this video, so I haven't cut yards and yards. You'll need a dish big enough to put your tube in, and then some boiling water. Now, if you can't get your tube to lie flat, you'll have to just keep turning it in the water. You can do this in a pan on the stove, but obviously I'm in the studio, so I'm having to sort of use what I can here. So I put it in the water, and I have to keep turning it because it doesn't quite submerge in this tin. Now, normally I would leave this for about half an hour so that the nylon really is going to set into a tight curve. But as I said, I'm only showing you a sample of how to do it, so I'll probably take it out after about 5 minutes. And I set it aside, still on the tube, to dry and cool. Now I'm going to take some chiffon. You can't use the narrow chiffon. It has to be fabric chiffon for this to work, because you've got to cut it on the bias, like so many projects that I do. So I've got some blue dress chiffon here, and I'm going to cut a strip on the bias to show you what to do. Now, you can use chiffon, you can use net, you can do this with a lot of very fine fabrics. You can actually do it with lace as well, fine lace. So I've got my strip of chiffon, and I've got some sparkly net, because you have to do it slightly differently with net, so, or bridal veiling. So I'm just going to show you that later. So I'm just going to cut a small bias strip of the net as well, just to show you what we're going to be doing. So there we are. We've got some, I was just cutting off a jagged edge there. I've forgotten that. So I'm just cutting a strip, and then I'll show you what to do. We're going to take the nylon off the tube now because it's cooled, so it will have set into the shape I want it. Now, obviously, the bigger tube, you get bigger rings, smaller tube, you get smaller rings. And if you want to do this on a bridal veil and have a lettuce effect, you'll need quite a small tube, and you'll have to leave it for a lot longer. Now, I've got my woolly nylon set up on the machine on both the bobbin and the top thread, but the cone will only fit upside down. So I just thought I'd show you that. Now, if I'm doing chiffon, what I do is I don't start right at the top, because obviously now your wire rather is very bouncy. So if you're doing chiffon, try and fold a narrow edge over the wire as you go, using a zigzag stitch, quite a fine zigzag stitch, not too wide, not too long a stitch, and also use a fine needle, either a ballpoint or a size 10, 12 at maximum really, because you don't want to make holes in the chiffon while you go. So what you do is you zigzag the wire and the chiffon all the way down using the woolly thread. And what I will do at the end is go back over it so that I get a really, really nice edge. The woolly thread sort of makes it just so much nicer. I've tried doing this with ordinary thread and it doesn't look so good. So here we have it with the woolly edge, and you've got a really firm edge, and it looks neat and tidy and just works really well. When you do net, and I've swapped machines for the net because my other machine was playing up, you don't need to fold it over. Just hold the nylon wire as close to the edge of the net as you can get, and again a zigzag stitch about 4 or 5 width and only about 2 stitch length, and just keep going. You do have to do this very carefully and quite slowly, but you do get a lovely effect at the end. So I would do that on bridal veil as well. I would just do it on the edge, no folding over. So there's my chiffon finished, and it makes a wonderful, if you gather it all up, it makes a great fascinator, or as you can see, this guest at a wedding had one that I'd made in various colours. I hope you found this useful, and I hope you subscribe and look forward to more of my videos. Thank you very much. Goodbye.